They say the city never sleeps. That's a lie. Los Angeles doesn't sleep. It dreams. And dreams here don't come for free. When I was 21, I thought money was the cure for everything. Turns out, it's just the prettiest kind of poison. And I drank it like it was holy water. My name's Amara Voss. You've probably seen my face. Maybe on the cover of a business magazine, maybe on some gossip blog next to the words, Luxury Queen of LA. But that's not who I am. That's just the mask. What I'm about to tell you isn't in any headline. Because this isn't just a story about money or power. This is about what happens when the things you desire start desiring you back. I came to Los Angeles with one suitcase, 2 fake designer bags, and a dream so heavy it almost broke my spine. I grew up in a part of Florida people forget exists, a town that smelled like bleach and cigarettes, where ambition was something you hid, not flaunted. My mother cleaned houses for women who never learned her name. My father was a ghost long before he died. When I arrived in LA, I promised myself I'd never scrub another person's floor again. I worked in hotel lobbies, poured champagne I couldn't afford, and smiled until my face hurt. Then one night, I met him. A man who didn't give me his real name. Just a card. Black. No logo. No number. Just embossed letters that shimmered like oil. The Syndicate. I laughed when I saw it. Thought it was some kind of scam. It wasn't. It was an invitation. They say opportunity knocks. That's another lie. Sometimes it whispers. It was past midnight when I met them. The men in dark suits and silent shoes. We met in a high-rise penthouse that looked down on the city like a predator watching prey. They asked me one question. Do you believe in ownership? I didn't know what they meant. I said yes, because who doesn't? That night, I signed a contract I didn't read. Metaphorical or not, I still can't tell. They gave me seed money for a luxury concierge business. High-end clients. Discreet services. No questions asked. It started simple. Parties, real estate deals, influencer gigs. Then the real requests came. Money laundering through art auctions. Offshore shells. Crypto wallets that never slept. And for every door I opened, they gave me another one. Better views. Better champagne. Better sins. I used to think I worked for them. But over time, it started to feel like they worked for me. Within 2 years, I wasn't just rich. I was untouchable. My company, Aurelia Group, managed the lifestyle of the elite. Politicians, producers, pop stars. Behind the glass walls and rooftop cocktails, I was building something darker. A network that connected people who thought they were buying exclusivity, but were really selling pieces of their soul. Literally. See, something strange started happening. Clients who made deals with me, their fortunes exploded overnight. Stock tips that shouldn't have worked did. Companies that were about to collapse? Magically saved. People whispered that I had a gift. Some called it luck. Others called it something else. I laughed at the rumors. Until I stopped being able to sleep. At 3 a.m., I'd wake up to my phone lighting up. Messages from numbers I didn't recognize. Photos of me, taken through my apartment window. Whispers in my ear that came from no one. The air in my penthouse always felt crowded, like someone else was breathing beside me. But the money kept coming, and I told myself that was enough. There's a moment every empire builder knows. When power stops being exciting and starts being heavy. Mine came the night of the Meridian Gala. It was the biggest event of my career. Hundreds of the city's richest in one ballroom, all under my brand. I was wearing a gold dress worth more than my mother's house. Diamonds like ice shards. As I gave my speech, I looked out at the crowd and saw him. The man who first handed me that black card. He hadn't aged a day. When our eyes met, the lights flickered. Just once. But everyone felt it. He raised his glass and mouthed a word I'll never forget. Collect. That's when I realized, nothing in this city comes free. Not money. Not love. Not even your name. You want to know what happens next, don't you? How a girl with nothing became a queen, and why the ghosts started following her. You'll get your answers. But first you need to understand what the Syndicate really was. And what I gave up to sit on that throne. They say every empire has a ghost in its walls. Mine had hundreds. And I built every brick myself. After the Meridian Gala, everything changed. The papers called me the Queen of LA Luxury. Investors lined up like worshippers at a shrine. But beneath the marble floors of my penthouse, something shifted. 3 days after the gala, my accountant, a quiet man named Harris, came to me looking pale. He said, "Ma'am, there's a problem with the ledgers." I asked what kind of problem. He showed me the file. Every financial statement I'd ever signed had additions. Columns written in black ink that didn't exist in the system. Initials, strange symbols, and next to each one, a date. Some of those dates were months into the future. And beside one of them was my name. I asked him who did it. He swore he didn't know. The handwriting looked like mine, but sharper, almost carved. He quit the next morning. 2 weeks later, he drowned in his pool. He couldn't swim. That night, I started seeing myself everywhere. Billboards, magazine covers, online interviews. The image of a woman who had it all. But every time I looked into a mirror, I swear her smile was half a second late. I was hosting a private meeting when my bathroom mirror lit up like a phone screen. Reflected behind me was my penthouse. Empty, except for a figure standing in the corner. A man, tall, wearing the same suit as the one who'd given me the Syndicate card. I turned around. No one was there. The mirror went black. Then words appeared across the glass. Faint, fogged letters like breath. Debt due soon. I tried to distract myself with business. Money, after all, makes good noise. We had a new client. Anonymous, offshore, known only as M. Vale. All instructions came through encrypted voice messages. I never saw his face, but every deal he made doubled in value overnight. Gold, crypto, property. All touched by some invisible hand. Then one day, my assistant burst into my office, trembling. She said the delivery man refused to drop the package off. Said the name on the label was for a dead man. The package was addressed to Mr. Vale, care of Aurelia Group. Inside was an antique ledger wrapped in velvet, smelling faintly of burnt paper. On the first page, written in ink that shimmered like oil, "Welcome home, Amara." The rest of the pages were filled with names. Thousands of them. Every client I'd ever worked with. And beside each one, a black mark. By then, sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. I spent nights pacing the glass balcony, looking down at a city that glowed like an open wound. One night, around 3:33 a.m., I found another black card slid under my door. Same symbol. Same shimmer. But this one had a date and time. Friday, 12 a.m. The observatory. I told myself I wouldn't go. That's how I knew I would. The Griffith Observatory was empty that night. The kind of empty that hums. From the parking lot, I could see the whole city sprawled out below, glittering, alive. I waited. Midnight hit. A stretch limo pulled up, blacker than the sky. The driver opened the door and motioned for me to enter. Inside, it was pitch dark, except for a single candle burning on a tray between two glasses of champagne. And sitting across from me was him, the man from the gala. He smiled, a slow, impossible smile. "Congratulations," he said. "You've done beautifully." I asked what this was. He poured champagne into the glasses, though I never saw the bottle. "This," he said, "is the dividend." He leaned closer, and the candlelight made his eyes look like wet obsidian. "Do you remember your first contract, Amara?" I said, "Of course. You funded Aurelia Group." He chuckled. "No. The other contract." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded paper, edges burnt, ink smudged. My signature glowed faintly under the flame. But underneath it, written in blood-red script, were 7 words I had never seen before. "In exchange for success, her soul binds." I laughed. A nervous, brittle sound. This is some kind of joke. He didn't laugh back. "Nothing about power is a joke, my queen." Then the candle went out. When the car lights flicked back on, he was gone. The champagne glasses were empty. And my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number, 1 year left. That was the night the dreams started. In every one, I was sitting in the back of that limo again. Only this time, the city outside wasn't shining. It was burning. And when I looked down, my hands were covered in ash. Every time I washed them, the water turned black. Every time I tried to wake up, I'd see myself watching, from the other side of the glass. I told my therapist about it. She said it was anxiety. I told her anxiety doesn't whisper your name at 4 a.m. She didn't take another session after that. By the end of that month, 3 of my top investors were dead. All ruled natural causes. But their names were the same ones I'd seen marked in that ledger. And the symbol, that swirling black insignia from the Syndicate cards, started appearing everywhere. On documents, emails, even on my skin. A faint mark, just above my wrist. At first, it looked like a bruise. Then it started to move. You ever have that feeling that someone's walking just behind you? So close you can feel their breath. But when you turn around, it's just air? That's what success feels like in this city. It clings. And it always comes collecting. I tried to tell myself it was paranoia, stress. But deep down, I knew the truth. The syndicate didn't invest in people. They owned them. And I had just realized, I wasn't the queen. I was the asset. They say ghosts only haunt the guilty. If that's true, then maybe I earned every single one of them. It started on the night of the Aurora launch. That was the event that was supposed to cement my name in history. The unveiling of a new luxury platform for billionaires, the Netflix of indulgence, they called it. We had the entire top floor of the Skyline Tower rented out, drones circling, lights painting the night gold. 100 million eyes on our live stream. Everything was perfect. Until it wasn't. I was in the middle of my speech, smiling into the cameras, when the teleprompter glitched. Just for a second. Then every screen, the LEDs behind me, the projection on the building, even the live stream feed, turned black. And then, a symbol appeared. That same black insignia from the Syndicate cards, spinning, burning, like ink in water. Right beneath it, one word, collect. The audience gasped. I froze. Then the lights came back, and everyone laughed it off. Some viral hacker stunt, they thought. But on the live stream replay later, the symbol wasn't there. It had been erased. Clean. As if it never happened. Except it did. Because that night, my security cameras caught something else. something even worse. Around 2 a.m., I was reviewing the footage from the event, trying to understand what happened. That's when I saw it. Frame by frame, the camera showed me on stage. Then, for 3 seconds, a shadow appeared directly behind me. Tall. Still. No face. But the shape of it was exactly like the man from the limo. I called my head of security, made him scrub the system. By morning, every file was corrupted. Every backup gone. Only one thing remained. A single still image. It was me, standing at the podium. And right behind my reflection in the glass wall. A hand resting on my shoulder. But my shoulder hadn't moved. After that night, everything around me started to rot. Quietly, invisibly. My clients' fortunes began collapsing. A hedge fund manager jumped from his penthouse balcony. A model vanished mid-flight to Paris. Her jet went off radar. Every single one had a mark in the ledger. And me? I started losing time. I'd wake up in places I didn't remember going. Parking lots, hotel corridors, once even standing barefoot in the middle of Mulholland Drive, watching the sunrise with blood on my wrist where the mark had spread. Then came the phone calls. Static at first. Then a voice, always the same man. Soft. Come. Repeating the same phrase. The Queen must pay her tithe. The real collapse came 2 weeks later. During a podcast interview. It was live. Millions were watching. The host was asking about success, fame, power, the usual fluff. And right as I started to answer, the studio lights flickered. I heard the producer yell from the control room. The camera feed cut for exactly 12 seconds. When it came back, the host was gone. Vanished. People online thought it was a stunt. A publicity trick. But when the station replayed the tape, something else was there. Frame by frame, you could see hands reaching from behind the host's chair. Black smoke curling upward like fingers. And then gone. They found him 3 days later in his apartment. Heart failure. The word, collected, scratched into the wall. After that the city changed. LA had always been a jungle of glass and greed, but now it felt alive. Streetlights buzzed when I passed under them. Billboards glitched with my face, flickering between my real smile and something hollow. Strangers recognized me in places I'd never been. Some bowed. Some whispered, "She's still here." I started to wonder if I was. The Syndicate symbol appeared on buildings I didn't own. People began to vanish from my company. Not quit, not resign. Just erase. No traces. No records. I tried to shut it down. Sell everything, disappear. But every lawyer I called stopped returning messages. Every account I closed reopened by morning. The empire had become self-sustaining. Like it was alive. One night, I got an email. No sender. No subject. Just one attachment. A video file. It showed me sitting in my office, time-stamped 3 hours ahead. In the video, I wasn't alone. The man in the black suit sat across from me. I watched myself pour him a drink, smile and say, "I'm ready." Then he looked into the camera, as if he knew I'd be watching, and whispered, "1 week left, Amara." I smashed every screen in my penthouse. Still, his voice echoed from the walls. Still, the clocks in every room stopped at 3:33. And that's when I understood. The Syndicate wasn't human. It wasn't even an organization. It was a force. Something that feeds on ambition. It gives you everything you ask for, until you forget who you were without it. Then it takes what's left. They call me the Queen because I built the game. But I didn't. I just played it better than most. And the thing about games is, someone always keeps score. When you rise too high, the air gets thin. You start hearing things. Whispers in the static. Promises in the silence. That's when you realize, you're not breathing success anymore. You're inhaling ghosts. It happened on a Thursday. At 9:11 a.m., every screen in my building froze. Phones, elevators, laptops, all stopped. On the monitors, a single phrase appeared in the Syndicate's cold serif font. The ledger is closed. I thought it was another hack. But when I looked out my window, I saw it. A silence spreading over the city. Cars frozen mid-lane. Birds hanging in the air like they'd forgotten how to fly. Even the clouds stopped moving. For one perfect, terrifying moment. Time itself held its breath. Then came the sirens. Every single one in Los Angeles, screaming in unison. And I knew. The collection had begun. My reflection stopped following me days ago. It moved on its own, delayed, almost thinking. Sometimes I'd turn away from the mirror and still see myself staring back. Her smile a little too wide. Her eyes darker than mine. She started talking first. Whispering. Repeating every lie I'd ever told. Then one night, she reached out. And the glass rippled. I screamed. But when I blinked, the mirror was empty. No reflection. Just static crawling across the surface like frost. That's when I saw them behind me. Rows of shadowed figures, faces covered, watching. Every one of them someone I'd made a deal with. Every one of them dead. They stood in silence, then turned to face the window. Below, the city pulsed like a living thing, the lights of skyscrapers beating in sync with my heart. At 2 a.m., the phone rang again. This time, I answered. Voice. You've reached the end of your credit, Queen. Me. What do you want from me? Voice. What we always wanted. The rest of you. Me. You can't have it. I built this empire. Voice. You built it on borrowed souls. Then silence. Except for one new sound. A slow, deliberate heartbeat, echoing through the phone line. Not mine. By dawn, my tower was burning. It started in the data center, the heart of my empire, where millions of ledgers were stored on glass drives. They said the servers overheated. But I watched it happen through the surveillance feed. The screens flickered, then every camera showed the same thing. Black smoke crawling out of the monitors like hands, gripping cables, wrapping themselves around machines, until every circuit screamed red. The fire spread upward, floor by floor, consuming everything digital, turning information into light. People tried to escape, but the elevators refused to move. Doors locked. Fire alarms played soft music instead of sirens. A melody I'd heard before, the same one the Syndicate man hummed in the limo. When the firefighters arrived, the building had already gone quiet. No heat. No flame. Just ash, floating in perfect spirals, forming letters in the air. Collected. I left the city that night. Drove until the skyline was nothing but a ghost in the rearview. The farther I went, the colder it got. Hours later, my car died on a desert road. Miles from anything. I sat there in silence. Then the radio came on by itself. A voice. Distorted. Calm. You can't outrun a contract, Amara. The headlights flickered. And for a moment, I saw something standing in the road ahead. A man in a black suit, his skin pale as moonlight. Behind him, hundreds of faint shapes, faceless, glowing faintly blue, walking toward me in slow unison. When I blinked, they were gone. Only the wind remained. I reached a small motel near the border. Checked into room 6. No mirrors. No phones. Just silence. But at 3:33 a.m., the TV turned on. Static first. Then a face. Mine. Only it wasn't me anymore. She smiled, calm and knowing. Behind her, a boardroom of shadows. Figures with glass eyes, tapping their fingers in rhythm. Welcome home, Amara, she said. You've always belonged here. The screen flashed once. Then went black. I stood there, shaking, until I realized something horrifying. I was standing in that same room on the TV. Same bed. Same light flicker. Only, the version on the screen was still watching me. And behind her, a hand rested gently on her shoulder. The last footage anyone saw of me went viral. They said it streamed across every platform for 12 minutes. No one uploaded it. In the video, I'm sitting at a desk. Black suit, red lipstick, calm smile. Ladies and gentlemen, I begin. The Syndicate is not real. It's a story you tell yourselves when you need someone to blame. I pause. Then smile wider. But here's the truth. The Syndicate is you. Every deal you made with yourself, every corner you cut, every soul you sold for a little more light. Then my eyes turn solid black. The camera zooms in, and behind me, the skyline flickers, each building glowing like a heartbeat, until they all pulse together in one blinding flash. When the light fades, the city is gone. Just smoke. And the faint sound of clinking champagne glasses. They call what's left the fall of Aurelia. Some say it was a data collapse. Some say it was an act of God. But others swear they still see the tower at night. Standing tall under a blood moon, its windows glowing gold, the queen watching from the top floor. If you listen closely, you can still hear her voice on abandoned radios. The game never ends. Only the players change. I thought I built an empire. But what I really built was a doorway. And now, something's coming through.